Hello my dear students, in this video we will learn about the liberalization, privatization and globalizations. So this is the third chapter of Indian economy. So before starting the liberalization, privatization and globalization, just I want to give you a summary. As we know that our country got independence in the year 1947. In the second 5 years plan, the main aim of the government was to make our country industrialize. So in the second 5 years plan, the maximum emphasis was the construction of large scale industries. Even at that time, our Prime Minister was Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So he was thinking that how to protect our country, because the industrial growth was at the primary stage, or you can say it is just like the infant. So our economy became the closed economy. Closed economy means without the permission of the government, nobody can enter in our economy. So as a result, the government always tried to support the Indian economy or the Indian industries so that it can grow and compete with the others. But due to closed economy, the burden was continuously rising. So according to 1956, that was our industrial policy. So in this policy, the main aim of the government was to reduce the imports and to increase the domestic products. But it couldn't succeed up to 1990. So there was the need of reforms in industrial sectors. So our economy was opened in the year 1991 and it is known as the new economic policy, and there are three main elements of liberalization of new economic policy, that is the liberalization, privatization and globalizations. Clear? So here a question arises. What was the need for the new economic policy? Why the government introduced the new economic policy? So first, that is the fiscal deficit. Okay. So as you know that fiscal deficit is always equals to borrowing. And fiscal deficit means it is the the difference between the total expenditure and the total revenue receipts excluding borrowing. So here our total expenditure was continuously rising and the revenue was continuously contracting. So fiscal deficit always creates when the government expenditure increases, either in terms of the to control the flood, means any epidemics. Next, that is the or expenditure on administrative services, non-developmental work, social welfare. So these are the maximum expenditure of the government, and as a result our fiscal deficit starts to increase. So that fiscal deficit can be covered by taking the loans either from the RBI or from the rest of the world. Okay, so fiscal deficit always creates the liabilities of the government, which has increased up to 36.4% of GDP. So think yourself, if the GDP is 100 crores, it means we have to make payment of 36.4. So in this way, it was a great burden for the country. And it also indicates the inefficiency of the government. Now come to the second point, that is the adverse balance of payment. So as we know that balance of payment means the inflow and the outflow should be equal. But here the term is used adverse balance of payment. It means our outflow was more and the inflow was less. In other words, we can say we were importing maximum and exporting less. So it has created a gap between the import and export, and in other words we can say a gap between the outflow and inflow. So the adverse balance of payment indicates that in the year 1980 it was only 2214 crore, which has increased up to 1990 or 91, which has increased up to 17,367 crores. So it indicates that it has created the problem of adverse balance of payment. Now come to the fall in foreign exchange reserves. Okay, so as we know that foreign exchange means what? Foreign currency, or in other words we can say except domestic currency, all other currency of other countries are known as foreign exchange. So foreign exchange is always suitable for the development of the country. It also indicates that how much the country's economy is growing, because as much as you have the foreign currency, the domestic currency value will also increase, because whatever we will import from the other countries, we will not pay our own currency, the foreign currency will be given to that countries. As a result, the outflow of domestic currency will starts to decline. So in the up to the year 1991, the foreign exchange reserves had decreased from 8,200 crore to 6,000 crore. So 6,000 crore is a small amount. From that amounts, we can only fulfill the demand of our country for 2 weeks. So it indicates that our condition was very miserable. Now come to the rise in the price, that is known as inflation. So inflation was continuously rising. Inflation indicates that the purchasing power of the currency will starts to decline due to rise in the price of commodity. So the inflation increased up to 16.7%. In other words, we can say the domestic currency value has declined up to 16.7%. So why this situation has created? Because aggregate supply continuously declined and our demand was continuously rising. So due to the excess aggregate demand and less aggregate supply, the prices of the commodity starts to increase and it has created the problem of inflation. Now come to the poor performance of public sector undertaking, and that is known as PSU. So all those industries which were under the control of government, they have started to show poor performance. Poor performance means the output starts to decline. Even the bureaucrat system had developed and the people were not capable to implement their rules and regulation in a better way. So administration was continuously declining, and due to that the performance of the PSU, public sector units, starts to decline. So as I told you, bureaucrat has increased, so which indicates the inefficient management. Inefficient management means the government was not capable to manage the growing bureaucrats. Or in other words, we can say the rules and regulation which was implemented, it was not effective to control it. Wrong policies were prepared. Fiscal deficit we have already discussed. So wrong policies has been developed, and due to that the government was unable to manage in an efficient way. So inefficiency of the management also compelled to implement the new economic policy. So these are the basic factors which compelled our economy to change the industrial policy or to open our economy for all, and that is known as the new economic policies. Okay, so it is the basic concept. Now come to the another term that is known as liberalization. Okay, so our next topic is liberalization, but I want to explain this in the next video, and it will be suitable because the liberalization is very vast. Here there are different kinds of reforms had been taken, and we will discuss in the next video. Okay, thank you.